So what we are going to do is we will going through Python, the basics of Python, the advanced Python, some Python libraries, as well as one REST and REST framework that is for Python, that is Flask and Flask RESTful. So basically, we can start with like basic Python. So the basic Python includes like the environment setup. So there are two type of programming, Python programming we can do. One is with ideally and one with using an like IntelliJ or VS Code or something like this. So first we will start with ideally. So ideally, if you are using ideally, you are writing raw programs in Python, then it will help you to like boost your Python knowledge as well as the syntax and some keywords. But if you are using some like IDE, then there are some like auto written notes in Python. So we will start with ideally with very basic. Once you will be fluent in that, we will switch to some IDE development environment.
Okay.
So in basic Python, we can start with like what is the syntax of Python, what are the keywords that we are using in Python, what are the data types that we can use, how a variable can be defined, and how a permanent variable can be defined. What do you mean by literals? What are literals and how can we write them literals? Some string and basic operations that we perform on strings. Some conditional statements, like there are several conditional statements, if condition statement, if else or elif. Steer is there. So that we will go with the conditional statements. And there are also several operators like AND operators and OR operators that we use differently in other languages, but different in Python. So we'll go in depth of each and every operation. After that, we can use loops. So in Python, there are three types of loop. Like two are entry controls and one exit control loop. So we will go in depth like how entry control loops works, how exit control loop work. Then we will go with dictionaries. And when we will go dictionary, I will teach you like how to use dictionary in conditional statements too. So it will be an additional advantages as switch conditions are not in Python. So that's why we can use dictionary for implementing switch cases. So it will like it will be a plus point and it will boost your programming skills. Some collections,
Okay.
how lists are used. What do you mean by list? What do you mean by tuples? What is the difference between those two? And what is the difference between tuples and set? How they are used? How to convert one from each another type? What do you mean by nested collections, like list into list? How to sort that list? So there are some operations that we will go through list. So up to fifth, when we reach up to fifth point, so we will start with like I will give you some assignments, like programming assignments, that will boost your data structures knowledge as well, and some like Python knowledge as well. So if you practice Python with along with the classes, like in data structures and competitive coding, then it will boost your Python knowledge too. So once we complete the point number fifth, up to collections, then we will start some like advanced topics. Those are functions and how functions can be used to create decorators and generators. Okay.
Okay.
Once we will familiar with that, then we will move to the object oriented programming in Python, including encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, classes, objects, the communication between two different objects. What do you mean by self? How to define constructors. So these are the things that we will start with object oriented programming. So once we completed object oriented programming, then we will visit to exception handling. So exception handling and multi-threading are like core concepts of whether independent of the language. If you are using Python, Java, or C or C++, exception handling and multi-threading are two different and important topics. So we will deal with them very separately. Once we complete them, then we'll move to like file handling, how to open a file, how to create a file, what do you mean by pickling and unpickling, and the database connectivity. So we will use relational database, that is MySQL, to connect the Python programs. I will also tell you like how to collect the remote database. Suppose if you are using MongoDB, then MongoDB itself provides something like MongoDB Atlas, which is a cloud hosted database. So how to connect that? So we will go with that one also. So once we complete and once we will like have hands-on on these things, we will visit to lambdas. So how to create lambdas and what are the various functionalities of the lambdas? Because if we start using lambdas, we stepped into like advanced Python technologies. Okay, lambda and list compressions are the most important topics that one if you start giving interviews, then you will face them frequently. So up to point number 12, when we completed point number 12, it means like you can be very feasible to create crack and Python interview, whether it will be based on codings or some theoretical knowledge, you will be able to crack them. So once you clear it, we will start socket programming. So if we start socket programming, then there will be two protocols, TCP and UDP protocols. We will use these protocols and we will create our app here. That is our chatting app. We will create a project here. That will be our chatting app. Once server will be there, several clients will be there. What do you mean by pub sub? How they are used to connect each other, like peer-to-peer programming. We will go with that.
Okay.
So once we complete with socket programming, okay. So do you know like if you want to connect some like Facebook, if you want to log in Facebook or Instagram using Python, so you need to hit a website with username and password. So that is also a socket because Facebook has created a socket on that particular port it is running. So you are hitting that socket with some like TCP or UDP protocol. So that's why socket programming is important to us.
Okay.
After that, we will visit to some like libraries of Python that are most commonly used, like Pandas and NumPy. So NumPy are a library that is specifically for numbers. We can say that arrays or how to generate arrays, how to deal with them, how to change their dimensions, how to create different dimension arrays. So for them, we will use NumPy. Once we are familiar with NumPy, so we will visit Pandas. So basically, Pandas is a wrapper over NumPy. There are several other things in Pandas, like for example, how to read a web page, how to read a CSV, these type of things. But most probably we will focus on these two, data frames and series, because those are the important things in Python that are used in both like machine learning also and data science also. So data frames and series are key concepts of Pandas. So we will go with them. So once we are familiar with NumPy and Pandas, then we will go with Matplotlib. So basically, Matplotlib is used to plot graphs or charts. So there are another library also, Seaborn, but Matplotlib is the basic one. We can start with it. Once you are comfortable in it, we will move to Seaborn. So there are different plots are there and like bars are there. You can set that on your own. So like these three libraries are the most important libraries in Python. Other libraries are SciPy libraries there, but that is used for specifically machine learning purposes. So it is not useful in our case because we are going with full stack Python. Once we completed point number 15th, so it will be the combination of basic Python as well as advanced Python. So do you have any doubt till here?
No, thank you. I get it.
Okay. So once we'll start with it, then we will go with some like REST endpoints. Okay. So are you aware about REST APIs?
Am I available?
Aware about REST APIs, REST endpoints?
Oh yes, I am. I have read about it, but I'm not really familiar with it. So a call is coming in at work. Can I answer this call real quick, please?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Hi, Jeremy.
So, yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you are audible. Clary? Clary, you are on mute.
She got a call from office. Just a second.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So we were talking about here. So what we will do is when we complete Pandas, NumPy, and Matplotlib, so we will plot something like we will analyze the data of a football World Cup match, and we will plot it. Okay.
Okay.
So once we will done with that, we will move to the REST framework of Python. So there are two things like Django you can use or Flask and Flask RESTful you can use. So Flask RESTful is more popular now onwards. So we will use that. So we will create some REST endpoints using Flask. These are like CRUD endpoints. CRUD means create, read, update, and delete endpoints. The same endpoints with Flask RESTful. Okay. So once you have created your web application, your REST endpoints, then it is very suitable to create your own web applications. So we can test the APIs that we have created using Postman. I will teach you how to create and how to use Postman too. After that, we will read about like SQL alchemy. So when I will teach you database connectivity, I will let you know what are the disadvantages of that approach. So for that, we will use SQL alchemy. That is very popular right now because it's an ORM, object relational mapping framework. When we complete it, we will move to, since we have created our REST APIs, and if you have created your REST API, then the security of the REST APIs is most important, and it's primary one. So we will deal with securities, how to secure your REST endpoint that we have created. Once you have done with that, then we will create a full stack application. So full stack, it means like your front end, your REST APIs, and your database. So we will create a library management system. That system in which like you will have a web exposed to you. In that web, you will perform some actions. And once the action is completed, the whole data will flow towards the database and stored into database. You can either update, you can create a book entry of a book, you can read all the books that are in database, you can update the information of a book, and you can delete a book. So all the things we can do in that.
Okay. Sounds like a plan.
So this is the plan that we will follow. And like if we have some time, then I will help you in creating some chatbots using like Python only. There are different libraries in Python. Then we can use to create some chatbots.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
so
you.
Any doubt till yet?
No, I'm just excited to to be a Python expert.
Yeah, most probably. And are you aware about like any front-end technologies, HTML, CSS, JavaScripts?
Okay, I did take those in school because I did my bachelor's and master's in computer science, but on the job, not really.
Okay, no problem. So I will help you in like learning those. So we can have an extra lecture. In that lecture, I can help you in creating some front ends like HTML pages, how to apply CSS on that, how to use JavaScript for that particular part. Or if we didn't have time, then what I will do is I will create a front end for you. You just need to integrate your backend with that front end. So in this approach, you will be aware like how to collaborate into a team if the team size is big, how to take the code and how to integrate it and how to deploy it.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, since we're gone through the topics, I'm just now curious, like, how many classes are we gonna? How long is one class gonna be? Is it like an hour? Oh,
It will be an hour only, like
okay.
1 hour. And if we have some like additional topics or you have some time, then we can stretch it. else maximum 1 hour class we will have 5 days a week.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And are we gonna have some hands-on on?
Yeah. So
okay.
like first we will deal with the basics, because once the basics are clear, then we will go with the programming skills. Because yet we haven't created any GUI applications here. Okay. So we will make your hands dirty in Python programming by creating some hack codes or lead codes or geeks for geeks, like questions related to arrays or strings. So these type of questions we will do. So after that we will start with functions and decorators. So here your advanced thinking will be start. So when you will reach with socket programming, you can create your own applications. We will create a chatting app. After that, you can create your own applications, whatever you want. And if you're stuck somewhere, I will help you in that. So, and once we will like clear Pandas, NumPy, and Matplotlib, we will start plotting things like how to plot histograms of the data we have, how to collect data. So everything we will do with our own application, full stack web applications.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Excited to start.
Yeah, Claire.
Hi.
Yeah, Ganesh. Ganesh, over to you.
Any other questions from your end?
No, I don't have any other questions. I think you covered everything.
Okay.